Hey everyone, in this video we're going to have an attempt at animating. So I'm going to animate something from The Lord of the Rings. So I'm going to animate Frodo putting on the ring and disappearing. I didn't record too much of this initial structural mannequin stage, so I'll just show you it finished there. The mannequin finished, that is, just to give you an idea of how it looked at that point. And the next step to this was, of course, creating the line art. Now when I started the construction phase of this, I wasn't planning on recording this, which is why I don't have too much footage of that beginning part. But with the mannequin stage, I just created the main poses, let's call them, the main movements. Not all the little bits between, because I didn't want to draw too much at this point. I'm not an animator, so I'm not professional at this. There's loads of stuff I will have got wrong, and people will be able to correct me. This was just me having a bit of fun, really. And this kind of animation is known as frame by frame, because you have to literally draw every frame. It's not like a flash animation where you can move them and put in-betweens in there a little bit easier. And that does mean that I've used quite a time-consuming method, let's say. So what you're watching on screen at the moment is basically me going over the mannequin layer, the red layer, with a cleaner line art. And I have to do this for every single frame that I've drawn. So you can probably see me scrolling along at the bottom, and I literally am drawing the line art over a frame, moving to the next frame, drawing the line art again, or maybe if only a little bit of the character moves. For example, if it's just his arm moving in that shot, I might use some of Photoshop's tools just to move it around. And you can see once I've got my line art layers finished, I do go in and neaten them up. I do work very messy when I draw. Some people might have much cleaner line art to begin with, so maybe I've given myself more work than necessary, I'm not sure. So I've been meaning to try an animation for a long time since I found out that you can actually animate in Photoshop. So this was just me giving it a go, really. Trying to start with something simple. It does take much more time than I realised. So once I've got that line art done, I'm just going to create a layer for the ring as well. I could have done this on the same layer. I don't really know why I didn't, but there you go, there it is anyway. And I'm just showing you this on screen now so you can see how this looks with just the line art. And the next thing I did is pretty basic, really. It's just a case of blocking in some flat colours. You can see in the top left corner, I did make a little palette just so that I could colour pick from this. So it just includes things like skin colour, hair colour, jacket colour, cape colour, trousers, stuff like that. So you'll notice that animation like this is really quite repetitive, because what I'm doing is I'm putting my flats down, my flat colours, then I'm moving to the next layer, erasing the ones out that are in the way and blocking the ones in that I want again. Originally I wasn't going to add any colour to his eyes, I was going to keep it as just a little black dot, but I thought in the films Frodo has really sort of piercing blue eyes, so I decided just to throw that in there. Made him look a little bit freaky, but it's only a cartoon little animation anyway, so it's not that it's hard to do or anything like that, it's just quite time consuming really. And I created this whole animation probably over about a month. I wasn't working on it every day, of course. Some days it was just that I had maybe 20 minutes free to work on it. But it does become a little bit mind-numbing because it really does take so long to create something that is only a few seconds. But I was determined to finish this and, make a video out of it as well. So here it is. We've got our clean line art and we've got our flat colours in place. And I wanted to take this a little bit further. So the next step is going to be adding in some shadow. Because I wanted to keep this fairly basic like you do with most animations of this kind, I went for a cell shading style. So again, the colours in the top left corner, you might notice are all darker. This is a slightly different palette now for me to pick from, so that I've got a shadow for each of the flat colours used before. And once again, you've probably guessed by now, we're going in frame by frame and adding in the colours for this. So this is on a separate layer above the flat colours that we did before, which is below the line art, which just helped really to keep things a little bit neater. I'm sure there's tons of ways you could do this, and I'm sure, there's better techniques than this. And for anyone that's wondering, the brushes that I'm using are just a standard round Photoshop brush. And I'm using Photoshop CS6. And you can probably tell that I haven't recorded the entire process. What you're seeing is just me doing a couple of frames for each of the steps. I still think I had a couple of hours of footage recorded, which I'm trying to speed up so it's not too boring. I honestly wouldn't like to say how long I've spent on it overall. Too long, far too long. I created another layer here just to put line art around the ring. I wasn't going to bother with this, but the yellow didn't show up very well on such a white background, so I figured it'd just help it stand out a little bit more. So a few bits that I actually had off camera are things like a drop shadow, and also I put a highlight in his eyes. I also considered adding a highlight layer in the same way we've done a shading layer, but to be honest I was getting pretty fed up and bored of the animation by this point, and not only that, I did give it a quick go and it made him look a little bit shiny, so I decided to leave that. Okay, so that is him finished. I'm showing that on screen now. I haven't put any sound on this or anything yet, but I was tempted to put a little popping noise when he disappears. And I just want to show each of these layers side by side so that you can see how they look, just because I always think this kind of thing's pretty cool to see. And that's it all really, only a simple animation. Took me a long time, but I am actually really pleased with how it turned out. If you guys know anyone who is into 2D animation or maybe just likes Lord of the Rings, please do share the video with them. Let me know if you guys are interested in seeing more videos related to animation. Maybe it's just something like going through the process in a little bit more detail, let me know. And as always, if you did enjoy the video, please do hit the thumbs up button, leave me a comment below, and be sure to hit subscribe for more content. Thanks so much everyone.